Everyone, my name is Ritesh and this is my team Nolan, Sahil and Zach. We are here to present our game which is Are You the Smartest Gamer? So Nolan is going to walk you through the demo first and then we'll proceed over to the technical details and Facebook aspect.
Yes, okay, so we'll dive right into the demo here. Basically, the game is a quiz game that tests one's knowledge of games, computer games on different platforms and from different time periods. Also, we have some questions in about game developers, companies, characters within games. So I think the best way to kind of demo this is we'll go through a couple questions and you guys can answer them. I don't know if we're going to get through all of them because it might take a while, but we'll try a few. And before we dive into the game, I'll just show you the leaderboard functionality. Right now, it's only been Sahil, me and Sahil, Sahil and I who have played the game before we redid our database. So, but yeah, the leaderboard functionality works fine, and it shows the top 10 leaders of the smartest gamer. So, diving into proving it. There are 3 intermissions in the original Mrs. Pac-Man that depict her and Pac-Man. What occurs in the last one? Does anybody know? I know it's a little bit hard to read from there, but... And we can use a hint. I have 4 hints right now, so if nobody knows.
Here's a hint. I have no idea. Ask the jump off the baby.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody called out the answer.
What was it?
C.
C? Alright, let's go with C. So yeah, that was right. Our score increments, and we'll go ahead and do this one. Anybody know? C.
C.
Okay.
Yeah, but not it. So we have quite a number of gamers here.
Answer?
A.
A? Okay, cool. So that's like, we have a variety. I'm just going to kind of go through the rest here. A variety of different questions, different games, what's that? Different screenshots, and you'll
How many
see.
questions per game did you end up with?
Well, we have 30 total right now.
Okay.
In the database, yeah.
And when you play 30?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
But do you play the maximum in the database, or do you play a set number regardless if you had a million in the database?
It's a set number.
30 happens to be the number.
30 happens to be the number right now, and it also happens to be the number in the database. So if we were to expand and add more questions to the game, it would still be 30, but it would take 30 random from the database.
Random.
Yeah,
Is it
and we have
randomized now?
different difficulties of questions as well.
Are they doing just straight random, like 1 through 30?
right now they're not randomized as of now, but as we increase the questions, actually the initial idea was to have levels in the game, but somehow we scraped that. But it's easy, like all the answer choices are random, and the questions also, when we increase the number of questions, it can be easily randomized. So right now I think it's the same, but as we if you improve upon it, it's a simple.
Basically, we have the answer choices to be randomized. Like if question number 1 has the answer choice C, then the next time you play the game, the question number 1 would not be having C as answer choice. It would be like A, B, or somewhere else.
So yeah, that's kind of how it works right now, and we'll go into more of the details as to how we implemented it in a bit, but just kind of flying through the questions here so you get a sense that we have decent variety. And we're going to just get to the game over screen. So yeah, once the game is over, it stores your score in the database if it is a good score, or if it's your best score, if it exceeds your high score, and that's used for the leaderboard logic. And then we have, obviously, the brag functionality to post your score on your wall. And we have the challenge functionality, which if you go through, I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to challenge Sahil. I'm going to challenge Rajesh as well. And so when you send that, it'll give you some additional hints for each player that you challenge. So that's how our kind of free-to-play dynamic works. We want to promote players, promote spreading our game in that sense, so you get more hints when you challenge more players. And then we have a nice credit screen as well with our everybody who did the art for the game. So, and then obviously play again. So that's our game right now. I think Sahil or one of you guys.
We didn't talk to. Did you show the microtransaction thing you built?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean,
Challenging.
yeah, it's the challenges.
Okay, I missed that. I was typing going short. I missed that.
Oh yeah.
We have
Can
to
you
go
show it
through.
to me?
I mean, yeah, but we have to click through the whole thing.
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll just go quick. Okay.
I mean, I just as a comment on the presentation style, you're moving really fast to the point where I'm like, I think there's a lot of really good stuff in here. My critique of this game, I think this is really solid. It needs to be more obvious when you've got a question right or wrong.
Yeah.
But one of the main user experience critiques. Otherwise, I think that people will play this.
Yeah,
Okay, so-
I agree. I think the three things that we would like to change are obviously the buttons are still a little crude at this point. With the answer buttons, we want the art to be better for those, and we just didn't have time to put that in. We want a better way to have users know that you get something out of challenging others, because right now it just says challenge, and there's no real obvious thing that tells you when you challenge people, you get hints. So we might want to change that button to challenge and get hints or something. But last minute communication with the artists and stuff, we weren't able to get that. And then, as you said as well, I think that we do need some kind of pop-up, this is the correct answer, or tell the user what the correct answer was if
Right.
he or she doesn't get it. So those are our three main things that we really just didn't have time to get into. But yeah, going back to the free-to-play dynamic here, just when you challenge somebody, like I'll challenge myself, it awards me one additional hint for my invite, and if I were to challenge additional people, it would give me more hints. So that's how you can get more hints. And if you notice when I go back into the game, I get more
Well,
hints.
I like that, but there's nothing in here right now where I can just buy them.
No, we don't have a purchasing functionality.
And that was just a priorities thing,
It was-
or you chose not to?
Well, we talked to Anshul, and he said it would be, at least to start, and just the way our game's set up, it was easier to implement this kind of free-to-play, in-game commodity over buying at the point we were in the game. So we went ahead and did that for now. I think at some point, when we use hints, and hints get to 0, rather than saying use hint, it should say buy hint, and when you click it, you can purchase. I think that would be kind of the best way to implement the buy hints, and that was actually our original plan, but with time constraints and everything, Anshul said it would be sufficient to have this challenge to get hints just to start. But both would be ideal, especially when a user runs out of hints during the game. You'd want to be able to have the option to get more if you need them when you're playing. So yeah, I think that's something we would want to do at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will turn it over to one of you guys to go in a little bit more detail about how we did this. So.
So over with the demo, the first thing that comes to mind is why did we make this? What was the idea behind making this game, and what was the inspiration we had? So there could be many sophisticated and intelligent answers to this question, but the one we were mostly excited about was like everybody of us are gamers and we care about video games. People who are basically gamers, they want to flaunt their knowledge, they want to flaunt their their intellect that yes, they have acquired knowledge by playing games since childhood. So, so this is the answer to why we have chosen this kind of a game. So Are You the Smartest Gamer gives gamers a way to show off just how much they care about games, how much they know about the game logics, the game developers, and inside of other games, and about the video games since they have been playing since childhood. So the next would be Facebook aspect, which is going to be presented by Zach.
You're just having a hiccup on the slide or something?
It fell out, the
Yeah.
connection fell out.
So because of what Ritesh just talked about, Facebook integration is especially important in this because people are going to want to brag to their friends and share with their friends what they're doing. So bragging is one of the key features about this game. At the end of every game, every round that you play, you're given the option to brag. And challenging, as brought up by Nolan and Ritesh, is equally as important. Since this is a game about flaunting your knowledge, you're going to have a competitive nature when approaching this game. And also, of course, with that competitive nature, you want to see how you stack up against the smartest gamers out there. You want to see how you do on the exact same quizzes that those people are taking. And as for content, we really wanted to make it very diverse and allow for all different eras of video games and different types of video game knowledge to be included. We didn't want, we moved away, I know the guys, I joined a little bit later, but I know the guys originally were going to go with show a screenshot of the game and tell us what the game is. And instead of doing that, to bring in a larger demographic, we wanted to give a wider variety of questions. Good?
Okay. So I'll discuss about the technical aspect and how we went about the game. So initially when we started out, we were thinking about HTML5 and basically going to develop a game using HTML5 technology. But as we went on and after a couple of classes, we tried to switch it to Flash at some time, but again that was not the case with this, and it was creating a lot of problems for us. So then I had the idea, basically, since it was a trivia game in a sense, so and we had to focus more on the free-to-play aspect and Facebook integration for the game. So we decided on a simple HTML, using all these technologies on the client end, and basically starting out with that on the client end and using PHP. In my next slide, we'll show basically we'll be using PHP and MySQL at the back end. So the idea behind this was basically Facebook has a very well-defined API using JavaScript functions, and this could really ease up our working on the game in the way that we could have we could just make JavaScript calls to various Facebook API functions, and that would give us the required functionality. But the main problem was getting most of these APIs that are defined, they have limited documentation how to integrate on the client end. So every time whenever we wanted to add a Facebook feature like a lead, or even if we wanted to implement a leaderboard or basically this challenge, brag functionalities, we just made some simple API call, function calls, and it would get us the results, and that integrating that with Ajax and JavaScript was very easy. Next. So we had to have a mechanism to store all the all the data regarding the questions and the answers. So we tried a couple of databases, but eventually we hit the target with MySQL because it easily integrates with PHP, and writing server-side scripts in PHP would essentially enable us to get the write data from in a very fast way from MySQL. Now, once we like had the data in place using the PHP scripts, we would call the function, call the server-side script in PHP using HTML, or like using our, we are basically using our front-end code, and that would really simplify the process in handling the data that came through for the questions and answers. So at the front end, the main idea was that we could interchangeably use PHP variables and JavaScript variables. So it was like a simple, like we could integrate the two and embed PHP variables when needed in the JavaScript code, and that would like really help in basically developing the front end interface and go about like having all the features that we have.
Okay.
So this is a snapshot of the database. We eventually did get rid of leader table, which it shows right now. But essentially they were like we was just storing like questions and answers in the MySQL database, and also the links to the various screenshots. And regarding the Facebook implementation and how we basically integrated the leaderboard functionality was we would store the Facebook ID and all the related parameters that were required to have the functionality, like the score, or like the updating of score or hints or any other functionality that was basically in there regarding Facebook. We would store that in a single table, which would basically give us all the data that is required for the Facebook integration aspect. So it would essentially store the Facebook ID, score, the number of hints, and this is how we implemented our virtual currency as well. What we did here was basically updated the number of hints for that particular Facebook user when he when he clicked on the when he sent challenge to his friends. And this is how now what I think in the next iteration it would if we possibly go ahead and improve upon this, it would be really easy to basically go ahead and implement any of the Facebook features, because we are storing the data for every Facebook user.